Okay, welcome to MovieStrange. I'm Ralph, Cult Curious, Movie Cult Curious. This is my friend Uncle Al and Drew, my friends.
What's up?
Say hi, guys.
Hello, guys.
How'd your week go this week?
Honestly,
Be honest.
I'm really angry at Chipotle. Haven't had Chipotle in a while. We moved. It's been a while. I said, you know what? There's one 20 minutes from here. I'm going to do it. And they got Kelly, my wife's order perfectly. They got the wrong meat, the wrong vegetables, the wrong salsa, the wrong rice, and the wrong quantities of some of those things. And then when I tried to get them to fix it, their chat disconnected me, and their phone to the restaurant kept asking me if I had a catering problem. So I just wrote a rude email to Chipotle customer service, and
Good job. Was this
it
a
didn't make me feel better.
DoorDash issue or just a Chipotle issue?
No, this is I drove and picked it up, and I can't trust them.
no
I can't
excuse
trust
for that.
Chipotle anymore.
No excuse. And
I can't trust them.
I guess they'll never sponsor the show now, but whatever. Maybe
I don't
they
want their blood money. I don't want it. I just want a refund for my.
I never
for
go
my
to
dinner.
Chipotle. I'd never go there. You know, I got a quick question to ask, and I kind of ask this a lot. I just kind of want to define cult to me. One of you two, I don't care which one of you do it. Define cult movies to me. Actually,
Cult
to
movies.
the audience. Cult films to the audience, not to me. Okay, I want Drew. Give me your definition of cult, and then I'm going to ask Uncle Al the same thing.
It's a movie that has less of a broad appeal, probably, but it has found an audience that may be a particularly dedicated audience, and it's a pretty broad description of kinds of films across different genres. Although a lot of cult films tend to be, a horror and cougar cult and things like that. But I think a cult film definition right at the outset is this is not for everyone.
Okay, Al.
Well, I think for me, there's two ways to look at it. One is it's a failed film that didn't find an audience when it was originally released. Like I would consider Buckeye Bonzaroo or Bonzaroo Buckeye a cult film, even though that doesn't fall
Buckaroo
into the
Banzai.
horror. Yeah,
Or
thank
Buckaroo
you. I knew
Banzai.
it was somewhere around there. I would consider that a cult film, but that's not a horror film. I think it just it kind of flopped. But then you have your trash cinema or exploitation films or horror, where they get an audience that develops around it and it becomes a cult film.
Yeah,
So I think it's just finding an audience. It's a film that finds an audience later on.
Okay.
Really.
I ask, and this is not a complaint. Understand this. I'm not complaining about what I'm about to say. But we're now 12, 15 episodes in. I don't know what the number is at this point because we're, the way we're recording this. When I went into this, I thought cult was all the films that Uncle Al is bringing to the table. Okay. The extreme, needles in the eye, lots of sex, except for 1313 Cougar Cult. That one was a cult I never expected. And less of what Drew has been bringing to the table, which is more in line with what you said earlier. Your first part of your definition was, movies that most people don't see. And I'm happily enjoying both sets. I mean, I'm in Drew's films. I am enjoying watching. Al's I'm enjoying watching, but I'm also a little bit scared too, because they go off the rails a lot of times. And I just kind of wanted to get
I thought you were firing me.
I'm
I thought
sorry.
you were firing me. I was like, really? I thought you were firing me.
No.
I was like,
No.
what? I just
about
told you
to
about
tell you.
Chipotle, and
No,
So
because this
vulnerable.
film, again, you brought this film. I'll show you the words for this. The words I had to choose from were these two sets. And I picked the top one, which is Beast, Europe, Hunter, and Swordplay. And as we know, because we put the title in, that was this film, Brotherhood of the Wolf. And you're 100% right. This is not a film I would ever go out and look for or hear about or anything. And I thought it was a great film. Now,
well, I'm glad that
again,
you liked it. I mean, this movie to me, it was a big movie in France. It did run in America. I actually saw it in the theater in America, and I'm not
what year
going to
did you see
pretend there were a
this?
lot of people.
What year did you-
2002,
I think.
Wow. Okay.
2002.
Wow.
But it did not become a big hit. I mean, we'll talk about this as part of the discussion of the movie. This is a very, very French movie in a lot of different ways, in the story and behind the scenes and everything like that. But the reason it feels like a good cult choice to me is because it actually squishes together all these different genres, and it works. And a lot of those, like, there's a lot of martial arts movies and horror movies and things like that, and none of this should work. It should just be a big, blobby mess, and it actually works as a movie, and it's actually really exciting. So in some ways, this movie, maybe it feels more culty than cult, but this is a movie that's developed a following over the years after not being, as per Al's definition, not being a big hit. I don't think it was necessarily a flop, but it certainly was not a hit, a sensation in this country or anything.
All right, let me show the trailer, and then we get into. Go ahead.
I would say that this film, it probably has the highest budget out of everything we've watched so far, or one of the highest.
That may be.
Well, Crash,
That may be.
including Crash in that?
I think Crash went. That was maybe 10 million, maybe.
Really? Drive Angry?
Yeah.
But this was
I forgot about that one. That's
right. Well, this is like a
budget.
costume drama, right? This is a costume drama, so that's going to cost some money. All right, let me show the trailer. Get into a little bit, and then we get into some of the details.
Behind a veil of riches and reason lies a mystery hidden from view, killing all that get in its way. But now, two men sent to uncover the truth are about to encounter their greatest fear. A deadly secret, a dark power, even greater than they ever imagined. Universal Pictures and Studio Canal are proud to present an ancient legend. Now, a stunning cinematic vision. The film that took Europe by storm. Christoph Gans's masterpiece, Brotherhood of the Wolf.
All right. Two names I recognize in this film is Monica Bellucci, is that her name?
Yes.
And Victor Casal? Who's... I can't hear you, Drew. Drew, you're muted.
Maybe if I unmute myself, you'll hear me better.
That Chipotle
Vincent,
really got to you. Oh my God!
It really, yeah. I don't want them to sponsor us, and I will probably leave the show if they do. A lot of other Mexican type restaurants we could talk to, but I'm not interested in Chipotle.
All right, go back to...
So this was a $29 million movie.
Wow!
It was one of the highest grossing films in the States from France up to that point, but that's not like a huge number, of course. And it got the director into a Hollywood career. But like I said, it's a very French movie. And you mentioned Monica Bellucci and Vincent Cassel. They divorced recently, but they were married for like 15 years or something, and did a lot of projects.
And they were together in
so.
that famous cult film. What's that one called, Al? The one I want to see but haven't seen yet.
Irreversible.
That one. Okay.
Irreversible.
I didn't know they were married.
Yep.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, they were married. They have some kids. They were married for about 15 years, and they were definitely one of those, Hollywood couples of French Hollywood. And also were in a lot of international movies. I mean, Vincent Cassel was in stuff like Ocean's 12 and a lot of other stuff, and Monica Bellucci was in the second and third Matrix movies, although they could have done a lot more with her. And, there's just the cast of very, very deep cast of talent and different people. And Mark Dacascos, who plays Mani, the Indian companion of the Native American, companion of the lead, played by Samuel Le Bihan. Mark Dacascos is a martial arts actor that's been in a bunch of movies. So it's just really, it's kind of crazy how all the different pieces came together to make a movie, and it actually works.
Yeah, I mean, you said the director went on to Hollywood stuff. What's some of his? Do you know any?
He did. I think his biggest one was Silent Hill, the
That's a good one.
video game adaptation, which was actually pretty good. Yeah, it's
It was better than the Resident Evil adaptation in my opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Silent Hill is one of those video games. I've played one of them. There's like 6 of them or something, and it's very atmospheric and very creepy, with some
had Sean
genuinely frightening imagery. What?
Does he die in that one?
He does not.
Oh,
I think it's
What?
one of
He
the
does
few
not
films
die in
he
that
does
one.
not die in. Yeah.
That's
but you're not
right.
sure what reality he's in, if that helps.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But the movie really captured the feel of this confusing environment, all this kind of stuff. And the one thing you can say about this movie is that it's definitely got atmosphere.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I
when
said,
it's a period film, it feels like a period film, like all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And it starts off that very first scene where we're introduced to the first 2 characters. I'm thinking it's going to be it's going to be a martial arts film the whole way, right? Because they set it up. It's kind of a mystery you see, and you don't really see the who's the main actor that plays the lead.
That's Samuel Le Bihan.
Okay, he's got a
You're
cross
talking about the
between
blonde guy.
cross between Mickey Rourke and he's a good looking guy. I liked his presence. He was great. Might be a
does
new
have
man
that-
crush,
that
Al.
kind
I
of
don't know. I might
presence.
have a new man crush on this guy.
Maybe.
But it starts off in that rainy, wet scene where they do the martial arts stuff, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And then I watched it, I enjoyed the whole thing, and then I start researching the film like I like to do after I see these if I haven't seen it before, and it's all
Sure.
based on fact. I mean,
Yeah.
lore and fact. I mean, this stuff something was actually killing people back in that time, and it's based on, things actually occurring, and I just found that made it more interesting for me, and I liked all
Well, the martial arts.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, that's fine. Go ahead.
The martial arts is one of the more. It's on the just a wholly an invention of the movie side, because the idea of the lead of what is it, Grégoire de Fronsac, of him going to the New World and coming back with a companion who's a native from basically someone that he fought in the French and Indian War with. That's not unrealistic. There certainly were people who came back, came across to Europe and everything. But all of the martial arts, it's by I think his name. I'm completely blanking on his name. I think it's Philip Kwok. He does a lot of movies, a lot of martial arts movies, Hong Kong movies, and he basically came to the movie and they said we want it to be martial arts, but we don't want it to be anything that people have seen before. So it's not like an Iroquois character knows kung fu. So all of the fights that he designed, they're designed by someone who does martial arts movies and wire work and all that kind of stuff, but they're deliberately not familiar. So, I mean, you can kind of have it whatever you want. You want him to use a stick. You want him to, leap up in the air and do a split kick like he's Jean-Claude Van Damme. You want him to run off of a tree trunk. It doesn't matter. It's all like this sort of mystical stuff that you haven't seen before. But as you said, a lot of the rest of it is based on if you're French, you know all of this history. So to see this come alive in this movie was probably pretty fun just for that.
Yeah.
I think regarding the martial arts stuff, that it kind of overlaps with the resurgence of martial arts showing up in like big budget Hollywood films like Matrix and the Rush Hour series and all the Jackie Chan stuff that he was doing over in America. So I think it was it was kind of like prevalent more in the movie culture at the time. So
what year? did
Yeah,
The
I'd buy
Matrix
that. It went all the way up to the top of, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was 2 years before this, and that was up for Oscars, and it was a hit movie. So I think that's part of that Hong Kong martial arts movie style coming not just to America but around the world.
Yeah, I just found it because I'm reading the subtitles, so I can't really I'm trying to keep up with what's going on. So it now I'm just focusing on the action and some of the set pieces that they were doing. Now there was a bit of a CGI, some stuff going on, and there was a little funky. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it's a bit dated at this point.
But the spinning swords thing that he does at the end, I just love that spinning sword thing. Now I know it's a trick.
Fun.
I know something's going on to allow him to do that, but I just thought it was good. Now, Al, when this movie came up last week, you just went, "Oh yeah," I want all the. Send me everything you got on this film. Why the excitement? What made you?
Well,
because you never get that excited about. This is kind of a mainstream film.
I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it in 2002. I think this.
You saw it in a movie theater.
I saw it in the movie theater, like freshman year in college, I guess.
Oh, wow.
I'm dating myself, but I think it was more of like I hadn't really delved deeply into foreign cinema at that point in my life, and I was excited because it had, in the trailer it shows obviously a monster of some sort. You see, I was really excited about the martial arts stuff because Matrix was big, and that was exciting. And the other thing that I liked is like the costumes of the lead actors in the beginning. They're very goth, I guess, or you could see it as like a goth type costume. And you see in like Monica Bellucci's costumes throughout the film, it has a very what I would call a gothic influence to them. So like enjoying that kind of subculture, the goth subculture, I was excited about this film and I enjoyed it. But I think this time I think part of the problem was I watched the dub, which was a mistake.
Oh, don't do
that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. We did that on
that's
the
one
Heroes.
Of the legendarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the legendarily. I've never seen it with the dub, but it's one of the legendary worst English dubs of a foreign film ever. Apparently.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I think
Like
that's
I said,
the experience that you had, I guess.
I never listened to the dubs, but the three heroes, the hero triple,
Hero trio, yeah.
Sorry, thank you. It's good. Out of sight, out of mind. I loved it in that one, but I knew this one I had to have the subtitles. I couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't tolerate. And they weren't bad. Actually, I could catch a little bit of the French. I could see that it was staying close to what was going on. So, but what's the dubbing do, Al? What was it like?
I just didn't like it. I wanted. I don't know. Well, there's a lot of lip flap, so it's like you can tell that they're speaking in French.
I can't. Yeah, how do you do that? Yeah.
And then I just don't think the voices matched very well.
How?
So
I guess you would. Okay. We got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's Monica.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's that one shot they do where it pans over her body, and it transitions from her breasts to the mount. I mean, talk about literal. I mean, that is as literal as you can get with symbolism.
It's I think if you're watching the movie and you're enjoying it, because a lot of the first part of the movie it throws a lot of stuff at you and these characters and their relationship and what's going on, all this kind of stuff. But then when you meet Monica Bellucci, who she's a prostitute in this house of ill repute, but there's clearly something more to her and you don't know what that is, and that's right, there is more to her. But that transition that's when I fell in love with the movie. Not just because it was a beautiful woman, but I was like, this movie is just going to go for it. This movie is really, it says at the end of the day, we want to have fun. We're going to take what we're doing seriously, but that's so ridiculous to have the camera move up this beautiful woman's body, and when it gets to her breast, it turns into the snowy hills, and then her face is still there and turns into, and it's CGI and it's an editing and it's a camera move, and it just works. And honestly, I haven't seen this movie in quite some time, and that aged pretty well. I mean, as an effect and everything.
That effect was good.
Glorious. I mean, but it started with her panning over her, torso, and it was done very nice. It was done well. I mean, I'm not saying it was overly.
Ralph, the word you're looking for is tasteful.
Thank you, tasteful.
She has a long list of erotic nude scenes throughout her filmography, so you could definitely dive deep into the films of Monica Bellucci. Like I would say, Sleazy Uncle Al's top.
Please,
Monica
let's go,
Bellucci.
Sleazy Uncle Al. What are they?
Sleazy. I'd say the top one for me is probably from a film called Melina from 2000. I would definitely.
That's a very graphic movie.
Check that out.
Do you remember the guy on Howard Stern, who was that guy that would?
Mr. Skin.
Mr. Skin, probably.
Mr. Skin, is he still around?
He's still in business. Oh yeah,
he is?
He's still in business.
Hey,
they just caught up with him on Stern.
To his website.
His database.
Yeah.
Does he have a website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the it took me a while to figure out what the hell was going on in the film. I mean, I knew the beast. Let me just say this. I knew that Vincent Cassel, is that his name? The actor?
Sure.
What's his name, Drew? I know you.
I don't remember.
Cassell.
It's French.
Cassel.
However we say it with our barbarian mouths will be
Right.
wrong.
I knew that he was going to be the guy. I knew it. I didn't know that his hand was. I mean, listen, we gotta. I'm sorry.
Well, let's back
way
up.
into this. Wait, I'm spoiling. We're gonna spoil if you don't want to.
Wait, let's back up because we haven't really said what this movie.
Yeah, give a little plot. Go ahead.
What this
Give a
movie
little plot.
is about.
Give a little plot.
All right, so here's the plot. In real French history, in the 1760s, in the region of France called at the time Gévaudan, there was a beast that was killing people, and I mean this is historical fact that it killed at least 120 some people. Mostly peasants across this region, and it became this huge thing where the King Louis XV sent soldiers, and they were hunters, and they kept trying to find this beast, and all of the stuff in the movie about there being a beast and it being that big a deal and it being that big a threat, and the number of the people in the movie are historical figures. That's all based on the true legend/history of the beast of Gévaudan. And so what this movie is about is the lead characters, the two men, Grégoire de Fronsac, who's the Samuel Le Bihan, your new boy crush, and Mani, played by Marc Dacascos. They have come to investigate from the point of view of naturalists, basically, of scientists, what's really going on here. Because everybody in the region says it's a wolf, it's wolves, we have to kill it. And our heroes show up and they're like, I don't know exactly what this is, but it isn't a wolf. And then it goes from there. And as the movie continues, you find out, of course, what's really going on. Is there a beast? What is the beast? And you don't know. Is it supernatural? Is it a monster? Is it 6 different things all stuck together? So the story unfolds as you learn more about the characters in the region. And a lot of the really crazy stuff is actually based on fact. There's some disagreement to this day about what the beast really was, but the movie addresses a lot of it and does a really good job.
Well, I've been watching Mindhunter lately, so I'm gonna say it was a serial killer.
So good.
They didn't track. They didn't have behavioral science to fall back.
That's your
Well,
theory.
in this film, the beast is only killing beautiful blonde ladies and children, right? I think they say. I mean, I know they're only killing women and children. For the most part.
The theory, and this is really spoilers. Okay, so the Beast of Gévaudan, for some historians, there was this father and son called the Chastels, and they apparently trained an animal, which was probably some kind of wolf-dog hybrid. They trained it, they put leather armor on it, and they trained it to hunt and kill people because they're insane sadists. That alone would be a pretty crazy movie. That seems to be what happened. And the guy who killed
I think that's Uncle Al's version of the movie.
That would be Uncle Al for sure.
Right. But that's what and one of the Chastels, I think it was the father, he's the one who actually, after nobody could find it, nobody could catch it, Debotern, who's the big famous hunter who shows up in the movie and basically makes our hero make a fake beast that he's killed. He's a real person. Debotern was there, was looking for the beast. He couldn't find it and actually kill it, all that kind of stuff. And so Chastel suddenly, he came upon the beast and it sat down and he shot it from 50 feet away or something like that. Well, that's because he told it to sit. Now, in the movie, that concept is still there. It's all more extreme as to what the beast actually is. The armor isn't just leather, it's metal plates and porcupine-looking spines and all this kind of stuff. But you can see that, you know, the beast in the movie is used by Vincent Cassel's character, commanded by his character, because Vincent Cassel is cruel and horrible.
Right.
It also serves the broader political aims of the people in the region and the stand they're taking against the church. And so they've layered a lot of this political stuff on it. But as to what the beast was and what's really going on and who's responsible for it and what happens and all these kinds of things, I mean, that all really happened.
Wait, are the villages were to me, I thought the plot was, so Monica ends up working with the Vatican, right?
Yeah.
Well, she's a spy, yeah.
She's a spy. So is it the Vatican that's having these people murdered? Because the priest ends up getting the guy.
No, the local priests, they are, and that's another thing that's possibly part of it historically. They are a breakaway sect of Christians. Who want to control people because there's this demon, this monster. Because for them, it doesn't really matter if people think it's a demon from hell. if people think that it's a monster that the government can't control, if it's a creature that prayer doesn't stop, it all makes, them look like they're the ones who are in charge, and the usual power structure can't protect you, kind of thing.
But the priest
that's where the movie goes.
I'm sorry I'm being so ignorant about this, but the priest was working with Vincent Cassel, right?
Yes, the locals. All the locals.
Right, and he ends up, Cassel ends up
Brotherhood
killing his
of the
own
Wolf.
sister. That was his sister, right? That he tries to have an incestuous relationship with.
I don't think he tries to. I think he rapes her.
He did. Right,
and
he
then
rapes her.
I think he rapes her, and then he thinks he killed her, but she does survive at the end of the movie, I think.
I think she died, didn't she? No, she died.
No, because
No, they
it
went
depends
off
on how you
at
read
the
the
end.
ending. Right, they went off on a boat to the New World.
Oh.
You have to remember
because he died and came back. Monica killed him purposely.
Right, the whole framing story, like Romeo and Juliet, fake death kind of thing. The whole framing story is their young friend, as an old man, is facing the consequences of the French Revolution turning into the Terror in the 1790s, and he's remembering this incredible time. And at the end, he says, you remember the scene where Franzak and this woman who he thinks is dying, they're in the bed, and then it all kind of fades away. Like they literally fade out as his memory takes, the storyteller's memory takes him back to the present. Yeah. And so he remembers them, that they went off and they left for the New World and a new life.
Right.
Or Africa. I can't remember where they ended up going, but I think it was Africa. But basically they're leaving and they're starting anew. And I never heard from them again.
Right. This was the whole movie was a flashback. I mean, he was remembering.
Yes.
You're right. Right. So, Al, how does this fit your definition? Is there any scene in here that because your whole definition is you want to see something on screen you haven't seen before? Was it the boobs to the mountain, or was it something else in here that you?
It was the boobs to the mountain.
I mean, I was pretty devastated. Go ahead.
Well, I like the design of the creature. Like I haven't necessarily seen a creature like that before, and I did like when you could tell that it was certain scenes were CGI, and to me they did not hold up at all. But like there are other scenes where you could tell they actually had a physical puppet or animatronic that they were using, and I thought that looked cool. But I think the creature design was fine.
Well, they really tried to build sympathy for that creature towards the end. I mean,
well, that was Jim Henson. The Jim Henson shop in England designed the creature. They built a life-size animatronic, which is what you see in the movie. And then they did the CGI, and they worked with the designers. And a lot of the CGI that they do is of course scanning and photographing the actual full-size model that they made in the animatronic model. But spoilers, let's just go into it. The beast itself is a lion brought from Africa,
right,
covered in armor, tortured, and turned into a monster, which is incredibly tragic. Like really an awfully sad story. And at the end of the movie, they actually find the beast of Gévaudan, they put it out of its misery, and you get the impression that everything is really covered up. Like the beast one day stopped killing, but nobody knows that it was Vincent Cassel's character with his fake amputated arm was really controlling it, like all this crazy stuff, because it's
that
too
was
much.
cool when
it
he
was
pulled
great.
the arm out. Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah, and that
And they don't really explain why his arm is like that, which is even better. It's just like he's bad.
Right.
So, he's a gross arm.
But I knew as soon as he pulled his arm out, I knew it was going to be him the whole time. I could tell because it's him, and something's. I mean, it's not that hard to figure that out, but it's still the reveal when he pulls the vest off and pulls the arm out and does that whole thing. It kind of reminded me of that scene in that Schwarzenegger film where he goes to Mars. What's that?
Total Recall?
Where they pull the baby out of the stomach thing. That was like,
Quato.
My God.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the arm does this thing, right? Or no, it was the taxi driver had the arm that came out, right?
But yeah, Benny had the arm, right?
Right.
He took his human hand off.
I'm looking at the thing. It looks like that. It was awesome. I really felt for, and spoiler again, when his partner got killed.
Yeah.
I mean, I invested in that guy. That guy was awesome. And he was just super cool. He hardly had any words, but that the words he said were like, spot on. He was great. It's a good character. And I felt for him when he got he got brutally murdered. That's
the thing about this movie is that it actually has, in spite of all the genuine lunacy going on in it, and all the different elements that are brought together. It does have real characters that you might even be surprised how much you're invested in, which is really satisfying. And his character in some ways is very stereotypical.
Yeah,
Native American character. He's in touch with nature. He listens to the trees, all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's intended offensively, but it is. I mean, this is a movie that's almost 20 years old, and it already in those kinds of ways does feel dated. But a lot of the movie is tragedy, and the beast itself is a tragic example of how awful humans are to nature. And like when Mani is fighting the beast and he hits it with that giant log, with that crazy shot where he drops in front of the log and the log swings over. That was a physical effect, like with an actual log and a stuntman, and Dacascos did almost all of his own stuff. And then it hits the animal, and the animal screams in pain. Like I personally, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Like I watched the new Godzilla movie from 2014. And our heroes blew up the babies for the two giant monsters, and I felt bad for Mom because it's just an animal, And in a lot of ways, this is just an animal. You don't want it to kill all these people that it's killing, all these young blonde women in the French countryside. But it's really very sad.
Well,
but
yeah, the animal.
To me, that's the tone of the movie. The evil is evil. Right. The good guys are good.
It's the evil of men and what they do in order to.
Oh, you're talking right up Al's alley right now.
In order to gain and maintain power.
So your favorite character was the priest, huh? That ran away.
My favorite character?
Yeah. Who was your favorite character? Wow.
I don't know. Probably Vincent Cassel.
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
Great character.
He played a. Yeah, he's.
The one thing I didn't quite understand was, so at the beginning of the film you see I don't know, the lady and the older man who are the trainers of the animal.
Yeah,
they are part of the Brotherhood. Like Manny saves them.
Right.
And he keeps having this go back and forth with the lady throughout the film. But then, like, he gets brutally killed by them. You would think there would be some kind of, at least some connective tissue with her, like, trying to help him, or, like, there being some understanding between them before he's, like, killed.
That's the one misdirect in the film, and I think purposely misdirected, right? Because those two people are being hunted by some group who ends up being the ones who kill Manny, right? That same group
I think
of guys?
They play on his. They manipulate him. He rescues them, and then they realize, that they can take advantage of him, and that's what they do. I mean, Manny is a decent, kind person, and he beat the crap out of all these guys to rescue an old man and what maybe was his daughter that were being attacked, and then he saw them the rest of the movie as potentially like she's sort of a feral animal, but
yeah, but why were the villagers
why
were they trying to kill those two at the beginning?
Because they said that they had healed their horses, but I think the villagers were saying they poisoned their horses or they did something to them.
So it had nothing to do with them knowing they have, because that group was part of the beast group, right? That group.
Yes.
But they were trying to kill the people who were taking care of the beast.
Well, but they weren't supposed to. They don't like witches.
With them. Yeah, they had interacted with their horses somehow to where they thought they were witches, so they were going to kill them because that's what you do to witches.
Okay. See, that's the one misdirect that got me confused a little bit. Because the same people that were trying to kill them was on the same team with the beast.
Well, like Mani is a gentle soul. When he first infiltrates the cave where it turns out that the beast is, and they have those Rottweilers set as fighting dogs that the beast is killing. And, these are Rottweilers in the movie. They're ferocious. They growl, they bark, all that kind of stuff. When Mani slips up to their cage where they've been barking and stuff, they just lick his hand through the bars. Like he might be this guy who will kick your ass, but he's just and he's kind, and that's what ends up trapping him.
Right.
And I like the fact that he was not invulnerable. His death is really quite tragic.
Yeah.
But when he's surrounded by like 8 guys, and they actually start to win, then they really win, which makes the vengeance for his death at the end of the movie that much more satisfying.
Right. And his partner definitely. I felt the emotion that the partner had. And, in these kind of films, it's hard to, but I did. I felt that. The one thing I'll say is, and by the fact that he got killed the way he got killed, kind of alleviated some of this. It's that whole idea when these guys are fighting that it's always one guy that, it's always these martial art films.
Right.
There's like 10 people, but it's always one at a time, right? I mean, in reality, what happened to him is finally the guy that's standing behind him decides I'm not gonna wait for my friend to go through. I'm gonna help him. I'm gonna jump on his back, and they broke that trope, if to use a terrible word we hate to use, by
that's a different podcast. That's a different podcast that hates the word trope.
I know, but I'm just saying, they used it.
Look, that's why when you see a movie that breaks that, like Old Boy with the hammer fight in the hallway, or The Raid Redemption with a ridiculous fight. It's essentially in a bathroom stall.
Right, it's one. Or
the Raid sequel where it's in a car. It's everybody going for our hero at once, and it's overwhelming. And you remember that because usually you're watching a movie and you're like, is it my turn to get my ass kicked? And then you know it's so the movie did both.
Right,
it shows you that you can line up with Monty, and unless you're like he took on the two women at once in the fight. In the like that carnival atmosphere, but basically when they got smart and attacked him all at once, he's not magic. He's just a very good fighter, but he can't see behind him, and so he was defeated. And they didn't just kill him; they tortured him.
Right.
And and then his friend realizes he sees that horrible bloody crucifix
cross.
I mean, like it's a graphic and brutal movie.
So I like the reality of that, and then they bring the hero back after he dies. They poison him. He's dead for 4 days. And he comes back to life. So it's like they played it every way they could.
Yeah.
And I still enjoyed it. I didn't care. I wanted him to come back. I was upset that he died. I'm like, holy crap, that guy's gone.
I made a list of all the genres and subgenres that I think are smashed together in this movie, and I came up with action, horror, mystery, procedural, martial arts, politics, fish out of water, a little bodice-ripping romance, historical fiction, and probably others I'm forgetting. And and it works, and they played things against each other.
Had it all. I love the
one
audacity.
little fact that I know that you'll...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said I love the audacity.
Little fact.
No, you go now.
One little fact that I know you'll enjoy. I don't know if you watched the documentary, the behind the scenes documentary.
I did not.
It's really good. It's an excellent example of the form that's not just a press thing. Like some of the actors talking about what it was like to make the movie and how this was the screenwriter's first movie and the director's second movie. You learn some real insight into how they make the movie and how the different parts and departments fit together and all that kind of stuff. But the guy who directed that, so showing he actually has an affinity for real storytelling in a format that you don't really think of, was Pascal Laugier, who directed Martyrs. Which I know is a movie that you really like. So there's all kinds of French movie excitement in and around this movie. The behind the scenes is really good.
That's amazing.
It's not graphic.
This movie gets 2 thumbs up if it's any way related to Martyrs. So
it's connected. You found the connection.
It's automatically.
No, what I was trying to say was I love the audacity. It just was like, who cares?
That's a good word.
It's out of its mind, and yet it had just pockets of actual emotion that I don't normally get in these. And when Manny died, that was emotional. And when the hero. I realized Monica poisoned him, and I knew it was all part of a plan, but still it was like, oh my God, the guy's gone. What are we going to do? I was like totally invested in the situation. And I have to say, I love it. That's why I was asking at the beginning about cult versus cult. I mean, I wouldn't consider this an Uncle Al cult, but I would never watch this. And this show is allowing me, what we're doing here, to enjoy these films. It's amazing. It's amazing. And like, you start connecting things, and I start getting research, and I realize it's true. And you're telling me the guy who directed Martyrs, this crazy film that I'll never watch again. I watched it once and loved it.
We're going to watch it again.
We might have to. That he's somehow can look at my cat. He's somehow connected. That's why I love this. I love the connections and why I'm getting charged up. And, I went from, I don't think we've seen it, Buffalo 66 to Brown Bunny. It's like, holy crap, I never would do that in my normal life, and I'm doing it. It's great. And this film, the whole boobs up in the corsets and all that, it's just great. It's great.
So what you're saying is you like historical fiction.
I love historical fiction.
He likes bodice ripping too.
Yeah.
When he panned over Monica's body, that shot, and I'm going, where are they going with this, right? What's he doing? and then they cross dissolve to the mountains. You have to just give it up. You've got to go.
Yeah.
That's you got to go.
Audacity is the right word.
That's
right.
right.
I think this movie, more than anything, is just so much fun. But the more that you love movies and know about movies, the more that you might know about French history, things like that. There's a lot of extra stuff and other things that you can get out of the movie. And if you look at the cast of the film, all the young roles, the lead roles, these are like the big young generation of actors. And then a lot of the older, the priest and the older aristocrats and stuff, that's like the previous generation of films. And honestly, Monica Bellucci is one of these like Sophia Loren type of timeless movie beauties, and also a wonderful actress. So I think it's just a really satisfying movie, and that's a pretty good standard to meet.
Yeah, I just and wallow in the like if I'm going to use that word, just wallow in it, because you got to let yourself go. Al, did you in hindsight, you had a little slight tepid reaction when we talked, your excitement when you found out it was the movie, then you kind of went tepid. Why did you go tepid on it?
I don't know. I think it was
the dub.
The dub
Really?
just ruined it for me. Yeah, I need to watch it with the subtitles again.
Yeah. Listen, the first foreign movie I ever really dove into when I was a senior or like in high school or a freshman in college, I forget, was Das Boot, right? And that's a film that I saw in a movie theater with the subtitles and blew me away. I couldn't get over how powerful that film was. When I watched the dubbed version of it, it's like I don't have half. It's
it's the same exact thing that happened to me when like we were talking about the Heroic Trio. Like I did not like the movie that much with the subtitles, but once I heard the dub, it made it clearer to me somehow.
That's the opposite. That film did the opposite.
It's unusual.
Of what normally happens. Yeah.
It's unusual.
I
So I guess
way.
when I watched the dub, maybe this time I was expecting, maybe it will help, but it just detracted from it.
Isn't that interesting?
I think a lot of that is, and this is not a criticism of either of the movies. It's all about tone. Because we talked about how there's a lot of different stuff in this movie. Well, Heroic Trio has like combat with monsters and all this kind of stuff, but it also has, like sappy music when the baby is hurt and all that kind of stuff. But it's sort of like soapy ridiculousness. And then, I mean, there's, the babies peeing as they die. It just sounds horrific, but it's actually really funny and crazy. Whereas this movie, you're supposed to feel sadness when you see Monty die. You're supposed to feel recognizable human emotions, and I think they both work, but the dub does not serve this movie at all.
No, and and him dying, that I don't know if they'd pull that off now. I don't think they'd let someone who was that important. Maybe, well, I shouldn't say that. There's a movie, the remake of what's a remake that the Western.
Go ahead. I don't know.
I'm trying to think that with Denzel Washington. No.
Oh, Magnificent Seven.
They killed off a couple people in there that normally they wouldn't do. That and one of them was a Native American, of course, up in the tower gets something. He gets really, but this one for some reason I didn't expect this one.
I think if we're talking about like minorities who are considered magical, like there is the Green Mile, right? So John Coffey is a very important character to that story. He is very sympathetic, and he does die in, I mean, spoilers for a 20-year-old film, but I mean, he also dies in that film, and he's not, I would consider him to have a similar role that Manny has in this film. Obviously they're not really similar in story, but I think in role that they are similar.
Well, yeah, I mean, the magical Negro is a trope in a lot of movies, in different versions around the world, and the fact that is now seen as a trope and looked at as maybe that's not a good idea to reduce characters to the role that they serve the white characters, story-wise, I think is really interesting. But this is definitely a character whose death serves to push the lead forward to solve the mystery to win the day, and John Coffey dies so that, other people can get their cancer cured and stuff. And it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, this was a good one. I enjoyed it. Nice job.
Good.
Nice pick.
Glad you guys had fun with it.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. It's amazing the differences and the films I would have missed if I hadn't done this. So it's great. Having said that,
especially Monica Bellucci, I understand.
I want to freeze. There's a moment.
You can just take a screen cap, Ralph.
That's what I mean. There's a half right at the half dissolve between her boobs and the mountain. It's just
make it your background.
It is audacious.
There's going to be some
that's
black
a compliment
bars throughout this, I think.
No, I don't. Well, that was a very tastefully done. That was tastefully done. Period.
Tasteful news.
Now, speaking of tasteful, it's about time for Al's 2x4. Okay.
There we go.
I'm glad
we're
gonna
totally cleanse the good cult and get back into this. Cult.
Don't say that.
Well, you know what I mean. Now it's time for 2 movies, 4 words brought by Uncle Al. Addiction, New York City brains, alien. Twins murder, New York City surgeon. I'm going to go with twins murder, New York City surgeon.
Well, my friend.
How do you like that quick choice? What is it?
You ready?
I'm ready.
You know, I'm
going to go close up on you. I'm going to go close up. You got a box?
Yeah, I got a box. Just hang on.
All right. I thought
the podcast needed a little Frank Henenlauter. So what you picked is the classic.
Holy crap. Really?
Excellent.
Yes, you did.
Okay, I have that, so I can actually watch it. That's a what is that? A fork? What do you got there?
This is the Arrow release Blu-ray.
Oh,
here's the original art.
Oh, look at that
from the VHS days.
That is glorious.
Now, Al, without saying the title, because I would like it to come up later too, is the other one by the same director?
It may be, yes.
Okay, I love that movie.
You know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, these are two good choices, Ralph. I commend you.
A very special film that I am sure you are going to love, Ralph.
I've read a ton about this film. I've never watched it. I own it, and I never watched it, so this is perfect. I can't wait now.
That's funny.
Awesome.
That's funny.
I'm sure I'll have the same feelings from the one we just did. So.
Well, the transitions.
There are some choice scenes in this film that I'm really excited for you to see. So.
Okay, I can't wait. All right, well, that was good. I can't wait to watch a little basket case. So, you guys have a good week. Enjoy the films. Let's watch a little more cult stuff, and we'll see you back next time.
See you guys.
All right, enjoy some cult, everybody.